Good morning. Is everyone in, or are we waiting for anyone else? Everybody's here? Okay. I'm glad to see you all again this morning.
I used to teach at Brookstown Elementary, which is now Brookstown Middle, so I have a special affinity for the location. I don't know what they numbered the rooms, but I used to be in the old room 20 as a fourth grade teacher on the same campus where you all are. My name is Brandon Smith, and I work at LSU in Community Partnerships, and I'm really excited about this opportunity to meet you and to spend a couple of hours with you all, and I hope you all enjoy it. I know you all have gone to other campuses in Baton Rouge, and so we're so honored to have you at LSU. On behalf of our president and our provost, we want to welcome you to LSU and let you know that you have a place here at LSU, whether it's to study or to hang out, to come and enjoy our union. This is an open campus, this is a public campus, and it's for you, and we want you to know that we are a part of the community. I want everyone to repeat after me: leadership. Oh, this is going to be a long day. This is going to be, all right, everybody sit up. Let's try this again. Everybody repeat after me. Leadership. That sounds so much better. Is an idea. All right, leadership is an idea. I'm going to share two quick points in my life that help me understand that leadership is an idea, and we'll turn it over to Dr. Jones and the panel. Leadership is an idea. So raise your hand if you remember that first moment someone made you believe in yourself, or someone told you something really nice about yourself, something they really liked about you. You don't have to, I'm not going to make you announce it. Okay, I see a few hands. Anyone else? You remember it. It may have been in church, it may have been at a family gathering, and they said, I really like the way you sing, I really like the way you speak, I love your handwriting. You remember those things. So for me, I remember giving a speech at my 5th grade graduation, and the principal made me feel like I was going to be the greatest thing in the world. I'll always remember that. And so leadership is an idea. An idea is something that moves and changes over time. So from that moment in the 5th grade, I kept pursuing the idea of leadership based on the encouragement I received from Mr. Ronald Daniel, who was my elementary school principal. And so in middle school and in high school, I got involved in clubs and organizations, and I ran for things. When I got to college, I would be president or vice president or treasurer of different organizations, because I was always pursuing that leadership idea, that idea of leadership. The second thing that I want to share with you is when I decided to get married. So then I had to learn what leadership was all over again, right? To lead a family, to not just make decisions and be the man, but what it means to love and to support, and what it means to help people believe in themselves. My own children, I have a daughter who's in middle school. So what it means to be a leader changed for me all over again. And so the reason I shared that, instead of giving you this long talk about myself, was just to let you know that we're here to help you understand what leadership means for you. It's not going to mean the same thing for you as it means to anyone else, maybe not even the person sitting next to you. But leadership is a what? Idea. It's an idea. Leadership is a what? Idea. So this is what today is about. Welcome to LSU. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. Students, this morning we are here for our final journey of a campus experience. I know that many of you have had a chance to experience things on 2 separate campuses that perhaps you hadn't seen before, you hadn't been exposed to before. But exposure is probably one of the biggest challenges that we face in our lives, because as we see more, we want more. And so today, we have a wonderful privilege to hear and to be exposed to 5 incredible leaders from LSU. I would like to start off with reading the quote that I love the most, which is by Nelson Mandela, and we've read this each time that we've come together. And it reads, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world." What's the most powerful weapon, students? Education. Very good. And so we are going to begin our leadership panel with our 3 phases Again, phase 1 is leadership panel, phase 2 is our roundtable discussions, and phase 3 is your campus tour, which you'll go on at the end. Today, we welcome each of our panelists. We welcome their contributions that they'll be sharing with us. And in honor of Black History Month, I wanted to have a depiction of Black leaders. We're going to do an exercise later this morning in regards to that, but I wanted you to see that there is a legacy of leaders, and you can also be a part of the legacy for yourself and for your school. And today we're going to hear from leaders who want to pour into your lives. In honor of Black history, there are a number of individuals who have held their own. Barack Obama was our first president, African-American president. He was the 44th president of the United States, and his term was from 2009 to 2017. Interestingly, how many of you knew that the state of Louisiana also had an African-American governor? And so Governor Pinckney Benton Stewart Pinchback was our first African-American governor for the state of Louisiana, and this was in 1872 to 1873. I also want to share with you, since I work in the mayor's office, there were actually 2 individuals who served in that capacity of mayor. Our first African-American mayor, who was a male, was Kip Holden, and he served from 2005 to 2016. And then now, I'm very proud to share with you that our current mayor is Mayor Sharon Weston Broome. She is the first African-American female to serve in that capacity, and Mayor Broome, my boss, will be coming here today to meet and to speak with you all. So of course, I want you to recognize her and to give her a warm round of applause when she comes in today. Fair game? Good. Our panelists. Our first panelist is Mr. Christopher McGee. He is a financial advisor from Northwestern Mutual and an LSU alum. Our next leader is Dr. Leslie Blanchard, Dr. Monique Fondren Kane, Mr. William Jewell, and our last panelist is Ms. Taylor Pierre. So in my discussions with each of the different panelists, we talked about their leadership development, and one of the concepts was this whole premise of mentorship and how leaders need mentors in order to develop themselves. Dr. Leslie,
Yes.
share with us a moment where perhaps you had a mentor in your life and the importance of leadership in the development of an individual.
We talked yesterday also during the panel discussion about whether or not you feel like a leader is born a leader or whether or not you feel like a leader is made, okay? Hands up, high so I can see it if you feel like a leader is born. Like you're just born with it, okay? And then hands up, high if you feel like a leader is made or you can learn leadership. Good, I'm glad to hear that, right? Because it really does make you feel like if you feel like a leader is born, then you're at a disadvantage if you weren't born with that, right? So if you feel like a leader is made, then it can be developed even if you're not born with those inherent characteristics. But what a mentor can do, or what a coach can do, is help you to pull those things out. Because we know what the characteristics of strong leaders are, right? We mentioned a few of them earlier, right? Being smart, being kind, right? Being responsible, being able to have authority. And if you don't have those things innately, then you can develop them. Now, I'll tell you another thing, though, that's super, super important. How many of you have had some really awesome teachers in your life? Good. All right. How many of you have had at least one really terrible one? I knew it. So you learn just as much from the poor leaders in your life as you learn from the great leaders in your life. The great leaders in your life serve as models of how exactly you want to be, and what do the poor leaders do? They get on your nerves, but do they teach you how you want to be? No, they teach you how you don't want to be. And my friend here on the panel with me just kind of alluded to that a little bit, in that you make those decisions. And so when you get up every day, you choose, I want to be like this mentor or coach, and I don't want to be like this person.
Great.
Thank you.
William, you talked about mentorship, and mentors and the role that they play, especially in your life. You play baseball? Talk about that a little bit.
So I think sports are obviously a great vehicle for leadership development, and I think when, as the previous panelist was alluding to, I think it's important to recognize when you have good leaders and good coaches. She used the word coach as interchangeable with mentor, so that's a pretty good discussion with sports. So, you know, growing up when I was playing baseball, I had the opportunity to kind of see two different leaders back to back. From one year in high school to the next, I had a coach who was, you know, very demanding, not understanding, very bossy, as we were talking about earlier, and you can see the kind of negative impact it had on the players on the team, right? Nobody wanted, the team morale was low, nobody wanted to follow the instructions, nobody wanted to really do anything, and although we were talented, we didn't go very far, we didn't have a very successful season. And so I kind of compare that to our next year when we had a new coach who was much more player-oriented, wanted to bring out the best in everyone. And everyone was just so bought into what we were doing and really was playing for one another. And although we were a lot less talented that year and we had lost some really good players, we actually went to the state semifinals. So that's just really kind of an example of what you can do in your life when you surround yourself with a good group of people and there's a good leader taking charge of that. And that would be something if you find yourself in a leadership role in your organization, in your 4-H club, in your beta club, different things like that. It's important to really pull out the strengths in everybody around you and to help them identify what they're good at, because that's really the role of a leader. It's not for you to give directions and give commands to everybody. It's for you to identify and help develop the strengths of everybody in your group. So that's all I have.
Excellent. Thank you, William. Dr. Monique, let's take it a little bit further and talk about some competencies, in particular, knowledge and intelligence. You've gone on to get multiple degrees, 3 degrees, correct me, from LSU. What does the role of knowledge play in your leadership development?
I would have to say knowledge is actually your key into getting and going the places that you want to go. I can definitely remember every time that either if I finished 8th grade, I was able to go to boarding school. Once I finished high school and boarding school, I was able to come to LSU. Once I finished my first degree, I got a job. Then I got my second degree. I got a promotion. I got my third degree. I got an extra job on top of the job that I had, but I was able to get access into different opportunities. And also, just as William was saying, as you're going through school, I mean, surround yourself with people that want that same knowledge quest that you want that same educational quest that you want. And make sure that you're not just, kind of looking all over and like, oh yeah, hey, do your work a little bit, do this. Be fully engaged. Like you're here today, be fully engaged. Soak up all the knowledge that you can. Because this is going to help your trajectory. It's going to help push you forward. Education pushes you forward. I am telling you, I have friends that are still in Chicago that did not finish 8th grade. We all had the same opportunities, but we were all not fully engaged in our opportunities in our education. And I know you're like, oh God, my mama tells me this. So I hear you, but I'm telling you, I tell my students, if you want to stack your money, you need to stack your education like you stack your money, because no one can take your education from you. You can, even if you have a regular job working for somebody, like I'm working for LSU, but I also teach. That's something extra that I do. We own a barbershop. That's something extra that we do. And not only, when you have those resources, you're able to help other people. So it's not only for the benefit of yourself, you're helping your family, your friends, and people that you don't know. Because when I tell you People that didn't know me when I was in high school gave me $100,000 to go to school. They didn't know me from Joe Blow. But they knew I was hungry for that knowledge and for education and pushing forward. Because when I look back, there was nothing to look back from. I had to go. I couldn't go back home. I had to finish. I had to complete, and there was no room for failure. So make sure you're fully engaged in everything that you're doing. Just like right now, soak it up. If you have a question, pull somebody to the side. There is never a dumb question. The only dumb question is the question that you don't ask.
That's great. Thank you, Monique. I want to lean in a little bit because you mentioned the piece about stacking your money, stacks your education. Chris, your financial advisor, who better to talk on this subject and to explain how you came from LSU, you moved into that career path. What did education do to help you move into that and to become a leader in helping people make decisions about their money?
Yeah, I think that's great. It's also what I've seen when talking to people that have done or have been successful. Now, a question I would have for everybody here, if you guys can get your eyes here, is who spends time outside of what they actually have to do for school reading something? Show of hands. So one thing I would challenge you, and I would admit to you that I don't get excited about sitting down and reading, but it's something that's really important. What's the difference between the person that doesn't read and the person that can't read? So I'm going to ask that again. What's the difference between the person that doesn't read and the person that can't read? There's really no difference. And so that just tells you the importance it is to go out there and educate yourself outside of what your teacher's telling you to do, outside of what you have to do for a book report, but go out there and educate yourself. And what I've found is the people that are most successful in our world, like Dr. King was talking about, they are learners. They are getting educated. It's not necessarily all the time 8 degrees like Dr. King, which is really impressive, but it's just always trying to learn something. And when I look at helping people with their financial planning, that's helped me still today, learning, studying for my CFP, just trying to get to that next level of knowledge to be able to go out there and serve people. I found that to be really good. So if you don't hear anything else that I say today, I would challenge you to go out there and take a liking to starting to learn and educate and read outside of what your teacher's telling you to do at school.
That's great advice, Chris. Thank you for that. People who read more lead more, right?
Yeah.
And so I think when we look at the students around, everyone here in this room has been in the 8th grade at some point in your life. And so students, you're here today, you're learning from leaders who are on the panel, but I'm going to ask them to pour into your life by remembering when they were actually in the 8th grade and to identify with what it may feel like to come to an experience such as this, to be sleepy, to maybe not have had breakfast in the morning, to not really understand your path or trajectory for life, but you knew that there was something great inside of you. You knew that you wanted more, perhaps even in the 8th grade, because you knew 9th grade was coming up. And so I'm going to ask each of the panelists to describe a moment in your life where you knew that there was a leader inside of you. You can start, Chris.
Yeah, I'll start, and I'll talk about around the time that all of you guys are here. So I had mentioned this earlier, and people give me a hard time for not mentioning because I think it's just a part of my life. But I actually played baseball here at LSU, was an athlete, my entire life. And I remember making a decision when I was around your age that was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to be a college athlete. I saw it as a way to go get a free education. I saw it as a way to, be acknowledged for something. I saw it as a way to achieve. And I just remember listening to a coach, and it was after a game. We hadn't played very well, but the coach literally told us, or started talking about what it takes to be successful. And he talked about just being engaged. And I look around this room today, and quite frankly, I see some of us engaged, I see some of us not engaged. And at the end of the day, there's people that can just be engaged, be in the moment. get everything out of every situation, those are the ones that are actually going to, succeed. And I remember getting that, talk to me at around your age, and that has always stuck with me. So anytime hey, listen guys, I go to things just like this where I have to be there, and I just always try to find one or two things that someone said that can make a difference in my life for the next week, and really try to, meditate on that, and really try to spend time with that. And hopefully that's what you guys will do here today.
Excellent. Dr. Leslie?
Thank you. I think the point in time where I don't know if I ever saw greatness in myself, but I do know that I had the opportunity to get people to follow me, which is essentially what a leader is, right? It's getting other people to follow you. Probably happened when I was teaching, when I was in the classroom, and the school where I taught was a school very much like the school that you attend. It was a middle school. I was in a neighboring parish. It was a little more rural than here in Baton Rouge, but when I got in front of those students and I opened my heart to allow them to ask me questions, right? And they didn't see me as this scary lady or this intimidating lady or this lady who was so far removed from understanding who they were and what they did and really out to help them. I love what my friend Taylor here said about servant leadership, because that is like my whole jam. When we talk about being a servant leader, that is, it's written on the wall of the LDI. Is that servant leadership is true leadership, right? It's being able to go in service of others and develop and empower them. So that was that moment, but I also kind of want to talk a little bit about what Chris said here, because if you do take anything away from here, how many of you absolutely know what you want to do with your life? A couple of you, very good. I don't, I'm 46. But what I can tell you is this, that I wish someone would have told me when I was in 8th grade. If you can, you know what Venn diagrams are? Did you learn about those in math? You know what Venn diagrams are, where circles intersect? Okay, so if you can visualize for me, because I don't have a chalkboard. If you visualize for me, one circle here, that's what you love doing. So think about something you love doing. Okay, somebody's thinking. I see the thinking going on. There's thinking happening in this room right now. All right, second circle. What was the first one? Tell me the first one. What? What you what? What you love doing. Good. All right, second one, what you're good at. Okay, are those two things the same thing? No, they're not. Not all the time. I love to sing. You don't want to hear me do it. Okay, so what do I love doing? What am I good at? Okay, oh, thank you. Okay, over here, what does the world need? Looking, kind of thinking about the world that we live in, what does the world need today? Right? And the fourth one, what will they pay me for? Okay? Now, if you can think forward, and what I'll do is I'll send to your teachers and to our panel here, I have a really good graphic of this. I keep a poster of it in my office for when students are confused and they don't know what they want to do with their lives. What I'm good at, what I love, what the world needs, and what they'll pay me for. And if you can find something in the intersection of that, then that's what you need to do with your life.
Excellent advice, Dr. Leslie. Thank you. Very good. Taylor, please explain that moment when you were in 8th grade and what that felt like with leadership.
So when I was in 8th grade, it was the time that I really began thinking about what it is that I wanted to do with my future. A mantra that I live by is that education is the wings on which dreams fly. So in 8th grade, I always thought about what I wanted to do. I thought about what college I wanted to go to, which I knew that I wanted to come to LSU. I thought about what I wanted to do as a career choice. And I also began to learn the principle of stewardship. And stewardship is how you manage the time, the resources, how you manage what has been entrusted to you. So I learned the importance, which I knew that I wanted to be a teacher. So in order for me to be a teacher, I don't have to wait until I graduate from college to start reaching that goal. Like if I knew that I wanted to be a teacher, then that meant that now I should be a good student. So being a good manager of my time by working on my homework and asking questions when I didn't know the answers. So I would say that a good place to start is thinking about what you want to do and being intentional by making sure that you're working towards reaching that goal, even if you're not able to fully work in it now.
Excellent advice, excellent. And this is from a lady who is going to be a teacher with Teach for America, so you will be fantastic working with kids. William, 8th grade, did you know you were a leader back then?
I'd say mine's pretty simple. I had, somebody that I respect one time tell me, probably toward the later half of high school, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. And I really took that to heart. And when I started to realize that, the 5 people that I would spend the most time around, the type of person I like to be around, was a leader, a leadership type personality. And at first I didn't see that in myself. And so as I kind of took that mantra to heart, I started to realize that I might have that, capability within me. And so as you guys go through high school, I think that's an excellent thing to keep in mind. That if the 5 friends that you're hanging around the most have a 1.5 GPA, you're likely to have a closer to a 1.5 GPA. But if you're hanging around 4.0 students and students who are involved in extracurricular activities, you're going to be a lot more likely to be involved in sports and do well in school and have a successful high school career. So I think if I would have heard that in 8th grade, it would have helped me. It would have helped me out. Even more so than hearing it a few years later. So that's one thing that really helped me to realize my full potential and something I still think about pretty much on a daily basis.
That's great advice. Excellent, excellent. So Dr. Monique, thinking back, 8th grade, so now what is that one skill you knew you needed then to be able to get you through?
I think the one skill that I needed to help me get through was to be responsible. I think that is if you can ask anyone, you can even ask my sister, my brother, because I'm a middle child, so everything has to be fair. You're not going to have more than me or another person. But anyway, so I think it had to be responsibility. So thinking back when I was in 8th grade in 1991, oh my God, I'm old. So there was, we had opportunities to serve our community when we were in Catholic school. And we actually had a soup kitchen right on maybe 2 blocks down from our school. So in Chicago, there's a lot of poverty, and I including myself. But I think from my experiences that I was a servant leader. So we had the opportunity as 8th graders to go serve a whole day at the soup kitchen. And I found that it was amazing. These are just regular people that are hungry. And I said, you know what, no one should have to be hungry. I want to make this my responsibility to help people. And how can I do that? I can't do it by myself. But if I go to school and if I learn and I'm able to earn money, I can give back to my community. I can help someone who doesn't have what I have, but I can also give them food. I can show them what I did and the mistakes that I made so that now you don't have to walk through those mistakes. You can be better than I am, and you can have more money than I have. You can do anything better than any of us up here because I know I didn't have an opportunity like this to learn from people and, hear their opinions and learn about their journeys. But I would have to say that responsibility was the biggest thing for me in knowing that I'm responsible for myself and any decisions that I make could potentially hurt someone else, and I didn't want to do that. So I just want to make sure that I'm always making the best decision based on all the information and education that I have.
That is excellent. Thank you. Responsibility. So, students, I mentioned to you that there is a leader who is the first African-American mayor for the city of Baton Rouge. I want you all to give your full round of applause and attention to Mayor Sharon Weston Broome. Mayor Broome is here today to show her support and to allow you to see that hard work really does pay off. She is responsible for running this entire city of Baton Rouge. Thank you, Mayor, for being here, for coming to greet the students, and for giving a few words.
Well, good morning, everyone. And first of all, let me thank Dr. Jones for inviting me to share for a moment with you. I need to make one correction. I'm the first African-American female mayor, because I don't want to do any disrespect to our former mayor, who was the first African-American mayor. Hi, Daryl. I see so many of my staff members who are here this morning, but we're certainly stakeholders in the Capital Area Promise. I know this panel discussion has certainly added value to your experience, and I would probably just say ditto to everything that everyone else has shared, but I will certainly leave you with this. In order to elevate your life, education must be a key component of that. And so as you focus forward, make sure that not only that you have a value-driven life, but a life that is also accompanied by quality education. And I know that throughout this room are potential leaders for the future, many of whom I'm sure you've talked about, who've impacted your life in the past. And so my encouragement to you is to stay the course, follow your passion, dream big, and your world will indeed be as big as you make it. Thank you so much for including me today.
Thank you, Mayor Broome. I also want to introduce to you all my boss, Mr. Daryl Gissel, who's in the back. Daryl, if you just stand and be recognized. Okay. Would you like to give any words, Daryl?
I just may follow on the mayor's comments that education is really pretty critical. As a student, I was one, I think in high school or junior high school, I had a small business. And throughout high school, I had a business that continued to grow. And I always considered education kind of a necessary evil. It wasn't something I loved to go to class every day. I really wanted to pursue business. But as the mayor said, it really is critical that you spend as much time you can on your educational focus. You may not know exactly today where you want to be, but certainly that will grow as you advance in education, and you may discover throughout your life that things change a little bit. You may think you know exactly today what you want to do, but 2 or 3 years down the line, that may change. So just keep your focus on trying to get through the educational process day by day. Thanks.
So thank you. So as we bring our panelists back in, I'd like to ask them for concluding comments, and in particular, I'd like for them to think of that one person in their life that served as a leader, as a mentor, as a source of motivation for them to keep going. And we'll just go through each of you. If you could share who that person was and the one key thing that they taught you. We'll go down quick.
So I'll be quick. I would have to say, I keep telling you all this because this is the first thing I think about when I wake up. It would have to have been my dad. You are responsible for you in all that you do. You're responsible. You're the key holder to your education, to your dreams, and anything that you can think of. You are the person that can make it happen. And you have everything on the inside of you that you need already. You just need to bring it out and, as I said again, be responsible, be engaged, and be kind. So.
Yeah, I hate to be cliche as well, but I'm gonna say my grandfather. And the one thing I really took away from just being around him and growing up with him as a role model and a mentor to me is that your friends and your family and the people around you, their success is your success as well. So it's not only about what you're doing for your own life or what you're doing, to advance your career. But that's all fine. That's all fine, and that's a good aspiration to have. But your family and your friends and the people around you, their successes are your successes as well. because it really is about the next generation, and it's about, passing on all of the gifts that have been given and the time that's been invested in you.
I think my parents would be disappointed if I didn't say them, but they were definitely a big influence in my life. But I'm going to mention a coach that I had when I was in high school, and one quote that he gave me that I will always remember. He said, "Whatever you vividly imagine, what you ardently desire, whatever you enthusiastically act upon, must inevitably come to pass." And what that taught me was we had to dream big dreams, and then you have to wake up and actually go work at it and do it. And I remember him really encouraging me to be that person. So I would challenge everybody in here today, outside of your family, outside of your parents, go find someone that will encourage you like that. People want to see you succeed. Just like you just said, people want to see you prosper. So go find someone that's going to help you along that journey.
My answer is going to be a little bit different. As much I do love my parents and my grandparents and all of the people who were instrumental in making me successful, but the road to leadership is not always smooth. And sometimes there are very large barriers and very large obstacles and very large problems. But one thing you will learn, and I think my fellow panelists will agree with me, is that the ability to overcome those is what defines you as a leader. Leaders are not born of comfort. No one walks through the road to become a great leader by having everything go their way. And so in answer to your question, I have a very best friend who's been my friend since she was 4 years old. And she was a victim of gun violence about 6 years ago, and she is now in a wheelchair. And she went from being a highly educated, six-figure salary-earning woman to having to struggle day by day just to keep going and to be resilient and to have grit and to have stamina. And I admire her so much because she is the leader I strive to be. So when things don't go your way, just keep going.
The mentor in my life who has demonstrated what true leadership is to me is my father. And one principle that he taught me is to do everything with the spirit of excellence and to never settle for the path of least resistance. So I would encourage you today to, in everything that you do, be a good steward of what has been entrusted to you, and most importantly, do your best in everything that you set forth to do.
Excellent. Great. So I know that leaders on the panel, we're at a bit of our closing now, so I'm going to omit our Q&A session at this time. But what I would like to do is summarize for the students, once again, some key points that I heard. You all listened to the panelists, and they shared some words of wisdom to you. Dr. Kane talked about being responsible for who you are and making a go of what you want in your life. We also heard from William, and he talked about how he wanted LSU to be able to be the place where he could plant his legacy, that it was a perfect opportunity for him to be educated here. He also gave advice where he said, you are the average of the 5 people that you hang around. We also heard about characteristics that an individual needs, characteristics such as integrity and honesty, and to follow through. And we also were told that you share your power. Taylor told us that education is one of those things in which, or actually education are the wings in which you can fly on. And she mentioned concepts of servant leadership and servitude, servanthood. We also heard from Dr. Leslie, and she talked to us about get other people that you can have around you that will follow you. The difference between a mentor and a coach, and actually that these concepts can be synonymous. We also were told about the difference of good leaders and bad leaders, and that you can learn between the two of them. That good leaders actually take charge. We heard from William also that in following good leaders and bad leaders, a negative leader versus a positive leader, that he experienced during coaching, that the good leaders want to bring out the best in you. We also were told by Dr. Monique that knowledge is key and it gives you access to different opportunities. I want to share with you again, when Chris spoke, he said leaders are always growing and they're learning. He gave you a clarion call and a challenge that you should read more. We also heard at the very end about individuals or persons that can pour into your life, whether it's a grandparent, whether it's a father, whether it's a coach, whether it's a best friend. These are individuals that can help you to reach your full potential. Mayor Broome said that you should focus forward. Mr. Darrell came up and he told you that things change in life. So you may have one idea of what you want to be, and then that may change. But the concept here today is whether or not you are a leader, and if this exposure that you are experiencing can be that one seed that's planted to help you get to the next step. I want to thank the panelists because you actually poured a seed into each of these kids. And I promise you, if it's just one of them, that seed will grow. So I thank each of you for your time, for your attention to being here for Campus Exposure, and I greatly appreciate what you have done for us today. Thank you.
But what I came out today with was to just tell the students that you can be anything, but you have to put your education first. There's no wavering with that. If you want to, as I told them, if you want to stack your money, you have to stack your education. You need to be able to get in the door of opportunity, and the education is going to bring you that opportunity.
Education takes many different forms. So my form happened to be through traditional college, four-year college, and then a master's, and then a PhD. But we don't necessarily want our students to feel the pressure to have to do that exact thing to be successful. Education is the learning of a task, or the learning of a skill, or the learning of any type of wisdom and knowledge that they can apply to their lives in order to make a living and to make a life, right? And those two things aren't exactly the same. So what I would encourage the students to do is to explore all of the different avenues of education, whether they be vocational, technical, or traditional college preparatory, just in order to harness their passion and make a difference.
I think programs like this give students the exposure that they would never have. And you never know that, oh, this is an opportunity. I could actually go to college. It's not just on TV. You know, they leave with something tangible, and they are able to see examples of people who were in the same position they were, in the same thought process they were, and it's attainable. You can do it.
I think it's a wonderful initiative. Brandon Smith is the one who reached out to me to be a part of it and to be a panelist today. I think anything that we can do to build community between the city, the school systems, the universities, and the mayor's office is any initiative that brings those things together in community can't be a bad thing. One of our major initiatives in the Leadership Development Institute is to get that message out there that nothing happens in a vacuum and nothing happens in isolation. And so when we support teachers and we support school systems and we support students, then we're supporting the betterment of our community. And I think the Capital Area Promise really reflects that idea.
I think it's great. I also work in the mayor's office with another program and grant called Recast. And one of the tenets of that initiative is to spur and promote youth development and leadership, also mentorship. And I think with the panelists here today describing their scenarios, what they experienced in 8th grade and the career path that they were on and where they are now, it all ties into youth development, leadership, and mentorship.
The opportunities are vast when you stack your education. You need to make sure that you are fully engaged in everything that you're doing, especially with education and leadership opportunities, and absorb all the information that people
are bringing to you, and make sure that you're not over talking, that you're an active listener and you're able to take all those things away. So stack your education.
I'm so excited to be at LSU today, the alma mater where I received my master's in business administration. This is actually the culmination of our campus Exposure 225, and the students have had the incredible benefit of going to Baton Rouge Community College, to Southern University, and now to LSU. This whole campus exposure was all about giving kids a new experience and showing them a pathway to success. I am delighted to have had so many influential leaders come and speak to the students, to pour knowledge into them, to talk about leadership competencies. Today, Mayor Broome was here to visit with us, and also Mr. Darrell Gissel from the City of Baton Rouge. This is an exciting time to really deposit a seed into the children from Brookstown Middle Magnet. Thank you to all of you who helped to participate, and thank you to the students who will take that seed, allow it to be nurtured, and to move on into their level of greatness. Thank you all.
I want to be a nurse. I want to be a doctor. I want to be a teacher. I want to be in a sorority and a professional dancer. I also want to be a TV show person. I want to be a surgeon. I would like to be a pediatrician. I want to be a doctor. And I want to be a nurse practitioner. I want to be a forensic scientist. I want to run track. I want to play band. I want to be a tattoo artist. And I want to be a nurse.
But when you hit 30 credit hours, that is after your freshman year, you have the ability to pick your own classes when you start getting more acclimated to the university.
Today we learned about multiple things and multiple skills, and I wanted to give a shout out to the people who helped us out with everything today, and it was very interesting talking to the people who actually came to help us and talked about different and multiple topics. So yeah.
We doing a campus tour. They doing round tables discussion about leadership, how you can be accountable for actions and stuff, and more.
This Ventura, what's your plans for college? I'm going to be a lawyer. What's your plans for college, Rashad?
I'm gonna be a football player.
What's your plans for college, Michael?
My plans for college, I'm gonna be a football player.
All right, and my plan for college is going to basketball and succeed and probably want to be a lawyer.
It's been a good day. Everybody been grateful to us, you know what I'm saying? God great.
Tell him I won't quit. 10,000 hours ain't enough for the goal. I see your head, I'm inspired when the stats of my foes are being read. Cape visible wherever I go, I'm seeing red. This pain, it don't want me to grow, but I'm being led to my destination, driven by motivation. What you call a slow creep, I call pacing. Patience, destiny is what I'm chasing. Facing many challenges while embracing, yeah. Whatever come with it, I promise that you won't recognize it whenever I'm done with it. Beyond the blood, sweat, and the tears, I'm committed. Fixated on a man in the mirror like, come get it. Yeah, as I stand here in triumph, this thought enters my mind, you done did it. Then the standing ovation dies down. I gotta protect the crown, I am right back to business. And I won't stop till the wind's all mine, and I'm standing on the top of my goal. I won't quit till the goals raise high, and I triumph in the face of my foes. I know it's gonna take a lot of pain just to see the game, but I promise that I won't quit till the winners being crowned. Yeah, I swear I feel it's right in my soul. I won't stop. The talent is mine, this work is a chore. My body screaming out, what you hurt me for? The wind is on my mind, yeah, it helps me endure. The strategies and disciplines I gotta explore. Wings, not quite developed, but I'm ready to soar. Before you touch the sky, I gotta start at the floor. But if I should be on the ground while I'm living in the clouds and I never see the rain, I just kill the allure. So I work until my hands ain't clean. It's a risk, I expand until the chance ain't seen. Till I hold a trophy up towards the stands, they scream. See my opponents shake hands, they scheme. Yeah. On how to get it back. That mindset's the reason why I can never relax. Take a second to breathe, now I'm back at the max. I would never let up, in fact. Look, and I won't stop till the wind's all mine, and I'm standing